In this video, I would like to show you an enhancement to the prime number computation, which you can find here under week 1307 primes progress subfolder of the zip file with the demo code for this lecture. We have demonstrated that computing some of the prime numbers could take a while. In this demo project, I want to show you how I added a progress bar to display how far the calculation of the prime number has progressed. So let me first run the application to show you the progress bar in action. So when I start it and click calculate, you see that now the progress bar becomes visible and we display how far we are progressing into the computation. All of the new functionality is done inside the controller class. There is a new progress bar control which I added to my FXML file in Scene Builder, and it is originally hidden, and there's this Boolean indicator which controls whether the progress bar should be visible on the form or not. I added a new listener to the prime calculator data object, which is invoked at the end of the computation, and it simply hides the progress bar from the view, as well as setting the show progress Boolean status to false. Technically speaking, this update could be made part of the original listener, but it doesn't have to be, so I decided to make a separate listener for the progress bar. The rest of the new code is added to the button click handler. So as soon as the background task gets started on this line, so this used to be the last thing we did, part of this handler. So now there is new update which looks like this. So first of all, we make the progress bar visible, and we construct a separate thread object, which is actually implemented as a task. And this new thread hangs on inside this while loop, doing the periodic updates to the progress bar every half a second. In its payload, so to speak, it sets the progress bar to show the desirable progress indicator. The indicator is a floating point number between 0 and 1, which we obtain from our data object prime calculator by calling its new method getProgress, and it returns this double value between 0 and 1 corresponding to the percentage of the progress to be shown. Any value above 1 would set the progress bar to 100%. Negative values make the progress bar appear as an animated waiting bar running back and forth instead of an actual progress. I don't use this mode in my implementation here. Notice that we use platform run later as a wrapper around the progress bar update. Of course, we must switch to the GUI thread prior to doing anything with JavaFX library components, including our progress bar. Also, it's interesting that this thread has no idea when it should stop. Remember, it's the update that comes from the data object when it signals by setting this Boolean show progress state variable to false, causing the second background thread to exit. So this was part of our listener right here. When we added the second listener, this is where the progress bar status gets set to false. So it's this variable right here which is causing the second background thread to exit. And also notice that the thread is implemented as JavaFX anonymous task implementation using the call method, defining the work that has to be done. And although I use a string for the return type of this task, right? So when we parameterize task by a certain type, and when you implement the call method, it has to return this type. There is really nothing to return from this implementation, so I return a null reference at the end of the call method implementation right here. Okay, so this is how it works, and I encourage you to download the sample and study how everything is organized. So this concludes our series covering multithreading with JavaFX.